So, this week I took part in the debate. It's my first debate of this campaign. The trade union branch I was speaking at, and my better together opponent was a staunch trade unionist, old school trade unionist, you could say, and he went with this too weak, too poor, too stupid case, effectively. And his idea, that we're all unity is strength is a trade union model, and by standing together with our brothers and sisters in Durham and so forth, we can achieve things for the broad mass of ordinary working class people. Now, this idea that being part of a bigger, stronger country, more influence on the world stage is quite a strong argument for the No campaign. So let's just sort of look at that in some detail. Does size matter? Is big better for ordinary working class people? And there's a set of league tables out there. So how do we look at them? They're from people like the OECD, the EU, the United Nations. They're not part of the Yes campaign, any of these people. And they do these figures on GDP. Now, I'm not a great fan of GDP, gross domestic product. It's just how much economic activity is going on in the country. It doesn't say if it's good economic activity or bad economic activity. All the money we spend on Trident, for example, is part of GDP. I've heard it described as a grossly distorted picture. Nonetheless, it's the figures that people use. So, gross domestic product divided by head of population. Wealthiest country in the world? Norway. Less than 5 million people. Second, Luxembourg. Third, Switzerland. And you look at the top 10, the Premier League of wealth creation. 6 of those countries have populations below 10 million. And 2 of the others are Belgium with 11 and the Netherlands with 16. The only big countries in there are the USA and Germany. Britain, I think, is 17th, 18th, second division. Okay, so that's how much wealth you've got. I think also it's a case that an independent Scotland, Stuart would correct me, but we would be 8th. If we were independent today, before we've done anything to change our economy, we would be the 8th richest country in the world. And you look around it, I've been out canvassing a lot, and it doesn't necessarily look like the 8th richest country in the world. And we find out why from the next figure, which is about equality. So which of these countries manages to share its wealth best? And I've got my wee figures down because I don't remember all these countries and who's first and second. But we're measuring the gap between rich and poor. So who's top of that list? The most equal country in the world? Oh yeah. Norway, Denmark, Slovenia, 3 million population. Where's the UK, Great Britain and the good old USA? They're down at 32nd and 34th, I think, and they've got Turkey and Mexico in between them. The levels of inequality in this country are the same as Mexico and Turkey. That's why we don't look like the 8th richest country in the world. Now, like I say, GDP doesn't measure everything, and money isn't everything. So we've got other league tables. It's amazing what you get. United Nations Human Development Programme. They use wealth, the sharing of wealth through equality, and then they bring in things like life expectancy, educational levels, things like that. And you come out with the top countries again. Now, who is this? Oh yeah, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland, and Slovenia are at the top there as well. You can see the whole list. I'm going to put it on our website, the Radical Independence website, later on. And then they've got other figures for something that's really more subjective, less tangible. Happiness. We've got happiness indicators across the world. We've been doing them for 40 years. Guess who's been top for 40 years? Virtually every year. It's Denmark, closely followed by Norway and Switzerland and Slovenia. Where was Britain? 22nd. USA 18th. I mean, we're in the relegation zone, going down to the sub-Saharan African when it comes to sharing wealth and caring about our people. It's a completely unacceptable situation. So my opponent from Asleff was quite right. Size does matter. But it's small, it's beautiful. It's small that creates wealth, shares wealth, and cares about its people. And you know, you can ask, why is this? You know, is there something else going on? But all these countries face the same problems as us. What we call in radical circles neoliberal globalisation, or Thatcherism for the world. We're all having to cope with that. They're coping with it too. I mean, some of these countries are in the EU. Some of them aren't. Some of them are in currency unions. Some of them aren't. Some have huge natural resources. Some don't. The common factor is small size. Government decision making is close to people. People have influence on what happens in their lives and in their societies. This seems to be the common factor. We look at the Scandinavian countries, really strong local government as well. And a region municipality, I think, controls as much revenue as the Scottish government does just now. It might actually be even a bit more, and that's just local government. A lot of the Nordic countries, taxes are collected locally and then precepted up to national government. The local people have real control of the wealth that they create in their societies. Switzerland, a federation of 26 self-governing cantons. My argument here is one of the threads in radical independence. It's not the only one, but it's the idea of decentralisation. An idea when power rests closer to people in their communities, then values of community solidarity and of cooperation and of caring come to the fore. When we have power centralised the way we do in the United Kingdom, in a small corner of the country, of a large state, what happens? We get inequality and injustice almost inevitably. Now, the Scottish Parliament has made a difference to this. I mean, Scotland suffered for this for generations, but since 1999, the Scottish Parliament, which is in no way perfect, not in the fact it doesn't have so many powers, but it's not a perfect situation, but look what it's done. Free prescriptions, free university tuition fees. Significantly, maybe the most significant thing for us is what happened last week. Not only did we get equal marriage vote, across party vote, but we got unity across Labour, SNP, Green, and I think the Lib Dems as well, on the bedroom tax mitigation. Now that's costing us money, the money that's coming out of other budgets in the Scottish Parliament. But that unity shows that there's a political consensus in Scotland. And if we can use that political consensus, because it's also a popular consensus, that says social justice and fairness are crucial to the well-being of our society. In an independent Scotland, we can make use of that consensus to build a better society which creates wealth, shares wealth, and cares about the most vulnerable around us. I don't believe there's any other way for us to make this start than by voting yes on the 18th September. And that's not to push the working class of Durham or Liverpool or anywhere else to the side. It's to set an example for them that there is an alternative to austerity, cuts and privatisation. You can run a society differently. You can run a society that cares and shares. We can be an example and show that another England is possible, just as another Scotland is possible and is going to happen. Thanks.